Carl and Damon here from Brrraains A Head-Banging Life, gbhblofficial for short. And it is, of course, they made what into a TV series, The Last of Us, Season 2, Episode number 5. We're almost at the end already, if you can believe that. And with that, this tighter, quicker, faster-paced storytelling, you're thinking, okay, cool. Well, they've been quite peppy. It's been all forward momentum for quite a while, right? Um, the first 10 to 50 minutes of this episode kind of annoyed me. I was a bit like, wait, what? It felt like we basically just repeated the end of the last, like it was a genuine moment where I was like, why do we feel like I've gone backwards? Or it's stalled momentarily. Now, thankfully, it will hit a point, and from that point, it just barrels forward with some of my favorite acting, favorite visuals. And just and hinting towards a great next episode. So overall, I love this episode. But I saw you laughing or smiling and shaking your head. I gather you have some problems.
Yeah, I mean, look, the first 20 minutes, I was bored out of my skull with this episode because it was just so boring. I mean, there was the last episode that I think we spoke about like the chemistry between Ellie and Dina. It just felt so awkward. Their whole scenes together.
Hmm.
But then, as you said, after about the halfway point or like 25 minutes, bang bang, it just went mad. I mean, I was literally it's crazy because the first 5 minutes I was sitting there thinking like that I played these games now. Where the hell is Tommy? Okay, because I know for a fact that Tommy would not be sitting in his arse drinking beers and have meetings. So where the hell is
Yeah.
he? So obviously, I was glad they finally answered this with this point. Yeah.
Well, we talked about this quite early on in one of the early episodes about one of the major shifts being that it was Tommy who went first, and obviously them shifting that to be Ellie and Dina instead. But this episode starts to bring that back around. I think we kind of predicted that this would be what they would do. They just reverse the roles and have Tommy and I've forgotten his name, Jesse,
So, yeah.
be the ones that come after them and eventually catch up with them. And okay, you could say it's a little convenient how Jesse finds them, but you know what? They wouldn't. No, they took their time when they were in Seattle. The two girls. That's the thing, right? Like, so it's not like they've been constantly moving forward. They've been sitting and chilling out, and he's been tracking them. And I think they proved in a previous episode that he was pretty good at doing that. So he tracked them to that hotel, the cinema, the theater, and from there it was easy. But so yeah, like right. I don't think I necessarily disagree with you. I'm not. It's maybe it's a work in progress, but yeah, I'm still not 100% convinced about Ellie and Dina's chemistry. And but my biggest problem with the first part of this episode is it just repeats everything. It
Mhm.
literally feels like we're repeating everything. They're just talking about the same things we've already talked about. The planning, let's be honest, it's not really planning. It's looking at a map and triangulating positions, which is just nonsensical to me to a degree because you're saying you're using the radio, but already, right? I use radios in my workplace. Now I realize they're not military grade and they may not be as high powered as this, but man, like the battery life, like I found it like I know it's a silly pedantic thing, but I'm sort of sitting there and I'm thinking, okay, I didn't mind the idea that all the chat and she was learning stuff from that, but it felt a bit like, oh, this is what we're doing here because then it's just her and Ellie not really saying anything, kind of being playful. Ellie goes off, and then seriously, when she sat down with the guitar, it's like, no, don't do that. Like we've already done.
Yeah.
You earned that scene. Don't repeat that scene. Now, thankfully, thank goodness me, it's done in a completely different way and with only one line is sung slash spoke, and then her face hardens because it reminds her what she's there to do. Fucking
Mhm.
loved it. And this is the start of Bella Ramsey at the best in this episode. Near the end, there's some shit I just love, right? But then when they leave, I'm like, wait, oh, Dina, you don't have to come, if you're pregnant. I'm like, wait, didn't we already do this again? Like, what
Yeah.
it felt so like, oh, did you not know what to do here, writers and creators? You're just repeating it. And I don't really get it. This show's better than that. I think they could have come up with something
Yeah.
a bit more interesting.
I also think, and this is me probably very, very nitpicking, but they're both like literally walking down in the open in the middle of the street and having a full blown conversation. It's like, come on, man,
Right.
at least being clever. I know.
I know I don't disagree. However, I actually see it as a character flaw rather than a show flaw.
Mm,
They mentioned several times, and I said to my wife last night, oh yeah, the WLF are overconfident. No, Ellie and Dean are overconfident. They're
mm,
arrogant. And
mm.
once again, that almost gets them both fucking killed. Both killed this time. Ellie might be fine not being infected, but she's not going to survive being torn apart by several goddamn clickers and infected and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Their arrogance is what blinds them to this. As you say, loudly walking in the street, talking like not really being on their guard. They have the gun out, but they're not on their guard. Not to the extent honestly, but I think that's the point. I think we're supposed to see that they're really not. They're so out of their league, and we see this again a little bit later on, right? So let's cover one of the major scenes in the woods when they watch one of the Seraphites killing a WLF member in a pretty brutal scene.
mm,
They get caught. Ellie and Dina, who think they're hiding, get caught, and Dina gets shot in the leg with an arrow. Now, that is a change from the game because, of course, it's Ellie who actually gets the arrow in her shoulder. But
yeah,
this is good because what it did is it removed Dina from the sequence, put her in Jesse's arms, and send them off for Ellie to go do what Ellie does next. As soon as that happened, I was like, I think I know what's coming next. And then
yeah.
obviously when it cuts and then we see it's Nora, I was like, okay, I think we are doing pound for pound exactly what happens in the game there. But I
Hmm.
think they're the problem. I think it's more them, right? So I get frustrated with them. Do you know what I mean? Like, and the fact that like it's like Ellie's still torn. Like Dina's like when Dina says, when she realizes Dina loves her, it's like she's like, oh, that's so sweet, and like she momentarily has lost all of that hard, angry Ellie thing up until the
Yeah,
end of this thing. And I hope that answers some critics because I think Bella Ramsey does it brilliantly. However, I was reading up this. Now, pretty much every episode we've talked about a little about the online criticism towards whether it be Bella Ramsey or the show, whatever, and stuff like that. So I actually thought, well, let me kind of see, because I really like the ending. And I thought, let me see what people are saying. Let me see if I can find fair criticisms, not criticisms of Bella Ramsey as an actor. Um, that isn't just that you don't particularly like the character or stuff like that, because that's totally fine, totally justifiable. And I came across a kind of repeat formula that I think's okay to a degree, like in the sense that it's basically an opinion thing. It seems that some people have a problem with the fact that in the game, when Ellie goes from first game to second game, she obviously gets older and she gets a lot harder and meaner in the face and stuff like that. Bella Ramsey hasn't. Obviously, Bella Ramsey still looks quite young. In fact, you were quite critical of the fact that you couldn't quite take the character seriously, swearing because of
yeah.
that kind of baby face that she has. I think I understand that. I think if that's a person's problem, then they maybe can't take this version of Ellie seriously because they see Bella Ramsey's kind of younger face and think, it's not really
Yeah,
working for me. I think that's
I'm,
totally fair.
I'm glad you brought that up because to show you that was going to be one of my criticisms. That although I love the scene towards the end with obviously obviously yeah, but I just again it was brilliant. It was brilliantly done.
Mm-hmm.
But she comes across so young and I know they're basing it on a video game, but she comes across invincible and she looks like she looks like she's like 14. I know she's going to be like 21
Yeah.
in reality, but she comes across like a 14-year-old child beating the crap out of this adult and all these hard soldiers, choking these soldiers to death. And I just think like it's a little bit unrealistic. But then if we're going from the game basis, I get it because obviously it's based on a game, so I can
Yeah, but
sort of
it's
swing.
only realistic. It's only realistic because you aren't seeing her as the hardened survivor that you're supposed to. No, I don't. I'm not here to tell you I'm not telling anyone they're wrong about that at all. I really not. I think it comes down to this, and this is because so basically, I tell you right now, I couldn't care less. Me
Mm,
personally, I couldn't care less. I don't have a problem with it at all. I thoroughly enjoy the character, but I think there's a reason why, and I think it's this. I don't have the connection to Ellie that others do. So basically, this all comes down to connection more than anything else. I think like a lot of the times when it comes to seeing a person play a character that you love. And the reason why I won't criticize it, and because I do think there's a fair argument to say that This version of Ellie doesn't replace the original version of Ellie. They're two separate things, and you can enjoy both or enjoy one and enjoy the other and stuff like that. That's what's very important. But I'm guilty of it as well. I was wanted to ask you the question: can you think off the top of your head of a video game character that was portrayed in a show, a film, whatever, that got it so wrong that you hated the actor, or well, not hated, disliked the actor because of it, even though it wasn't necessarily their fault? We've done a lot here, so have a little think. We'll discuss it back and forth because I really am interested about this, because it's like, okay, let's go. If we go back to the earlier days, right? Guile, Street Fighter. No shade in Jean-Claude Van Damme, but that is an insane portrayal, right? Insane.
Yeah.
The American Guile with an American tattoo being, and like, no shade on Jean-Claude Van Damme, he's a legend. But what on earth are we doing there? What are we doing? You know?
Cammy being betrayed by what's that?
Kylie Minogue. I'm going to
yeah,
give that one a pass because those characters aren't the main street. I'm thinking main Street Fighter.
Okay,
But let's think more story based. Well, let's go to Resident Evil, I suppose, right? Like that's got to be an obvious one right there. So like think of who oh, your man who played Chris Redfield in the movie. Oh, the one from the one from the Prison Break one.
Yeah.
That was a shocking. I got no problem with that guy. He's a pretty famous actor. But that portrayal in the prison Resident Evil, that portrayal of Chris Redfield was shockingly bad.
Yeah.
And that's like, yeah, like that's so like, yeah, that's a good example of it there. But you see, my point is, right? I'm sure given more time, we could think of more. But you see, that's the point. What I'm saying is that when it comes to a character that you have a connection with more, I think that's where it kind of becomes a problem, you know?
Yeah, but I think everyone's view is subjective because obviously, like for example, we really enjoyed Halo, but I think I think that might be down to the fact that we don't really have a big Halo game experience.
The connection to Master Chief. So we were fucking fine to have Pablo Schreiber pulling his helmet off and talking and doing all that. Like, yeah, but obviously for others. Now, the problem is this is what it is, right? So like I said, all your opinions are valid. If you don't like a character or a show because you think the main character doesn't portray what you think they should be portrayed like, fine. Then it's when you then go on the internet and want the show cancelled and then spew a load of hate and all that kind of thing. That's where it becomes a different story. That's the thing. But also, bear this most important thing in mind, folks. This doesn't replace what you love. The Last of Us games still exist, and that Elliot exists and will continue to exist as long as those games continue to get remastered, which probably will be every fucking year. But for now, this is just a variation on it. What my point is, what I'm getting at is that basically why I'm defending it is because I just don't have a problem with it at all. That's it. I just do not have a problem with it. And here's another major reason why. A lot of people get stuck in the Bella Ramsey thing because of Game of Thrones. By time she was a major character in Game of Thrones, I had switched off on that show to such an extent that I barely even remember from that. And I wonder if that's another thing.
I mean, she was only in about 4 episodes.
Was that it? Oh, I thought she was like a main character.
No. She literally she's in about maybe about 5. It's because of her death. Her death in the final season was heroic, where she charged a giant and got killed by the giant. So people were like, look at her, look at a kid charging a giant.
Oh, for fuck's sake. That show's so stupid. You know, I never finished it. I never finished it. Couldn't be bothered in the end. Hated the last season so much. I think the last one I watched was the one where she goes ape shit on King's Landing. And then I was like, I hate this. And I've sworn to never finish it. I almost taken a little bit of pride in never watching that final episode. I know what happens. I read up.
I watched them all, but I prefer the books if bloody George A. Martin finally pulls his finger out and actually finishes them.
Well, if you get his name right, he might. George R. Martin. George A. Martin. Okay. George R. Martin. Just think J.R.R. Tolkien, isn't it?
Yeah, him.
He'll never finish. He will never finish him. Even if he writes a new book, he'll never finish it. You do realize that, right?
I know.
Anyway, we're off topic again. Back to this, as we always do. Let's focus. We've talked about a fair bit of stuff already, but let's dive into what I think are the two major scenes / sequences. Actually, no. Let's do the cold opening. Fucking love that cold opening. Wasn't too sure when it started, and I was like, are we really doing another WLF cold open? We did one from Isaac last week. Was so good. I didn't think this one would work. But
Mm.
when she started talking about what they found down below and all that kind of thing, that's my horror love. Because she's telling us something, and guess what my imagination is doing? Creating the imagery. We have
Yeah.
no idea, and all I'm thinking is, what the hell is down there? And then she says about it being in the air, and I'm like, it's fucking spores. And that
Pause,
changes
yeah.
the games, and how exciting is that? Really,
Yep.
really stoked. Because obviously, spores are a big part of the game early on. Whereas
Mm.
in this, they haven't been touched at all. So it's exciting. And I was really excited for it. But also, man, like that final stinger when it's like, oh, it was her son. Fucking hell, man.
Yep. I mean,
Brilliant acting.
yeah, it's brilliant acting, but it's also the fact that, at least she wasn't being biased. Yeah, she didn't just lock the soldiers in.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's a way to look at it. I think the way that character was sitting there and acting, she's dead inside. That destroyed her. There was no
Yeah,
positive
cool.
that can ever come from that. Your incredible cold opening. But after we kind of go through the Ellie and Dina repeat themselves stuff and all of that, we do eventually end up at the warehouse. And yeah, it's an action sequence involving the infected that I thought was fucking brilliant because
Hmm.
it was one of those where it's like they were too overconfident, man. Oh, what was their plan here? We're gonna sneak through infected without firing a gunshot because we're gonna like. I know they didn't expect this new variation on the infected, but even then, it's like you are like, what is your plan here? Like, what are you?
Yeah,
It's they don't have a proper plan, and it's driving me nuts.
I mean, during the episode, Dina even said it herself that they've got this entire area guarded apart from this one section. So why is that one section not
Uh,
guarded?
yeah.
It's because clearly it's full of infected.
Or
So
at
they
least it's
decide
dangerous
to,
enough. Yeah.
yeah. So they decide to. I know we're going to walk through it.
Well, yeah,
It
it's the
just
whole thing, isn't it? It's the whole like it's the overconfidence. We've dealt with enough infected. We can handle this. And yeah, Ellie's even like, well, I'll go first because I can't get infected. It's like you can still die from being ripped apart multiple. You know what I mean? Like, come on, man. But like I think that's cool because they it falls apart here. Like that's the thing. It's not like it works. They
mm,
quickly bollocks this up. They're barely in there, and they realize they've bollocksed it up immediately because these
yeah.
new infected, the sneaky ones, and I love how this infected like it becomes like a pack thing. So the first one's kind of like sneaking around and shying away, but when more of them come along, they get confident and then they start attacking. It's very frantic. It's very and you do think like, oh, how are they going to get out of this? You
Of course,
know,
yeah.
they're rescued by Jesse, who's been tracking to this point. It's a good little reveal as well because I actually thought it was a WLF as well.
Yeah, yeah. So said I wasn't expecting it at all. Yeah.
Obviously, that leads to them being chased down by the WLF into the woods. That's where we get the encounter with the Seraphites, which I really liked as well. And that, of course, then leads to Ellie being alone and heading into the hospital to confront she finds Nora and confronts Nora in a great scene directly from the game. And that leads to them being chasing her through the hospital and then down to basement floor number 2. Nora's escape, her realization where she landed. I was so excited for this sequence.
I was okay, but I must admit the bit where Nora's running through and she screams out to her friends like shoot her, and then suddenly it's the stormtrooper. We can't aim to cut. It's like, I mean, come on, man. Okay,
Mm,
in the
mm.
woods, she's ducking bloody crossbow shots. It's like, come on, man. It's like,
Right. I'm going to
you
answer
don't,
all these criticisms. I'm going to answer. First off, no one's shooting crossbows. They're shooting bow and arrows, right? And they are notoriously hard to fucking aim with, particularly in the dark.
Mhm.
A moving person in the woods in the dark, you're going to miss more than you're going to hit anyone. Now, if she'd been hit, but Nora runs past two guys standing up on an upper gantry, screaming, "Shoot the intruder!" Now, imagine you're up there. My first was, huh? That was what my first thing would have been. So they're slow to react. Ellie is already across the room by the time they realize. They both, you watch them, they start trying to shoot like that. They've got no way. They're not even aiming properly. And
but
of course they miss completely.
they have the
Don't
high
you
ground
dare
goal.
say that. In this circumstances, that does not count. It's very
Yeah,
easy. In fact, if you watch that scene again, Ellie's practically across the room before they even start shooting.
yeah.
I know what you're saying, but I think it's all done really, really well because it's done frantic and fast and
Mm.
all of that. Just like Ellie wildly shooting at Nora doesn't hit her because she's wildly fucking shooting at her. The chances of hitting her is very slim.
Oh yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. This is not a criticism at all on Bella Ramsey at all. So
Of course, no. I'm not suggesting it was. I'm not. But
yeah,
yeah, I don't want to sound like I'm defending it overtly. I just think there wasn't really an issue here. And
mm,
obviously, when we end up in the quarantine basement, this is just honestly, man, like the effects, the makeup, the terrifying idea of being, well, they're not alive, but being like part of the growth and the spore
yeah.
coming out of the, honestly, horrifying.
We spoke about it in season one about how disgusting it looks, and it just like makes you. It's really really makes you
Makes the
shiver,
skin
man. It's
crawl. It makes
horrible.
the
Yeah,
skin
yeah.
crawl, right?
Oh, it's horrible. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, think about it. We're human beings. It's humanity. It's terrifying the idea that anything like you when you hear about like the real life flesh eating diseases that eat away your skin and things like that. The idea of like fungus growing out of your body, and there's nothing like horrifying.
It is.
Honestly,
Yeah.
horrifying. And I love like how it slows everything down. Like Ellie just slows down right because this is brand new. This is terrifying. And this is pretty horrible, you know. But immediately, like I knew Nora was dead. Like I knew it because I'm like, well, if she's down here, even if she's hiding, like there's a clear difference here. And she quickly finds Nora, who was basically, what's call it, choking to death on the spores.
Mm.
I, I, right. So they did this really well. So go back a bit. When Ellie confronts Nora, Nora almost seems to have control, like seems to want to be sorry for what happened. She talks about tries to Ellie that she still dreams about it, but then when she does get the jump on Ellie, she kind of insults Joel quite heavily, which starts to chase. So when Ellie finds her here, I didn't feel as sorry for Nora as you should, and I think that's an important thing because
Yeah.
you know, and the fact that she's kind of like, ha ha, not ha ha, but basically you killed us both. And this is where you get like that focus and that red light and Ellie's very hard face, like just not angry, nothing, almost feeling nothing. Not to even delaying in the reveal to her that actually I'm gonna be fine, you're not.
Yeah.
I loved that.
Yeah, no, it's brilliant. Obviously, Nora knew she was dead anyway, but either by gunshot. So she thought, well, do you know what? I'll take us both out. But obviously, immune.
Yeah. Well, and obviously that's when Nora realizes who she is. And obviously Ellie reveals to her that she knows what Joel did as well, which we already knew. We already
Hmm.
knew that was the case. And then we kind of end that episode almost with her beating Nora with a pipe to find out Abby's whereabouts. So there we go.
Yeah.
Now, folks, I have some advice for you. So my wife likes watching this show, loves watching this show, but constantly complains that it's far too dampy and would like something happy to occasionally happen. So I suggested to my wife last night, and I think this goes to everybody. Stop watching now. So the final scene of this episode is Ellie waking up in bed in Jackson. It looks like a nice day, and Joel walks in and they smile at each other. He says good morning, and that's where we end. There you go. That's your show. It was all a dream. It was all a dream, and she woke up and they lived happily ever after.
Yep.
Well, now, of course, this is not the case, but if you want to have a happy ending, a proper happy ending, there you go.
Stop
You've
that.
got one. Just stop watching. You've got your ending.
Yep.
It was all a dream. It was the lost
It's gonna
ending.
get
They're all
ruthless.
dead. They're all in the church waiting. Joel's just waiting in the
Yep.
church for them to come join.
It's going to be ruthless from now on.
Yes, it is. It's not going to get any better, I'm afraid, folks. But yes, it seems like our next two episodes are set up now. So obviously, it's quite clear. I've seen some screenshots from it already. Our
Mm.
next episode is the episode that we predicted a little while back, which is that we would do a flashback to the series of events that led to Joel telling Ellie the truth and the thing that put them at loggerheads, the thing that made them separate when we first joined them in Jackson now. That is what we're going to do. This next episode, the penultimate episode, is Pedro Pascal's swan song. I believe this is the last time we will see him in the show.
Yeah. I agree. I can't see any more flashbacks. I said even with like Tommy at all. I think this will be it for a year.
This is it. This is it. A nice episode that shows the breadth of the acting and all the things that happen and brings us right up to date, which leads us to the finale, which I believe will be the confrontation, the first confrontation she has with Abby from the game as well. And
Yeah.
that's where we'll leave off, because I think, just like the game, I think the gap between season 2 and season 3 is going to be 5 years. Exactly what it does in the game. So,
Yep.
yeah. But we shall see for now. We've done a lot of predictions for now. But, look, overall, I thoroughly enjoyed this. We said this, I think, last episode. So I'm going to repeat it here because I think it bears repeating. Every week, I don't get excited to watch it. I'm like, cool, new Last of Us. And when it's time to watch, I'm like, right, cool. I properly settle down to watch it. Like, I'm not on my phone. I'm like, let's watch it. That kind of thing. But every time I'm watching it, I am fully invested. I am like 45 minutes later, an hour later, boom, that was great, kind of thing, you know?
Yep.
And I think that's a great sign. I'm still really enjoying it. I do think it's got plenty of things that are worthy of criticism, particularly from a game perspective, which I completely understand. But you're not going to get that from me because I just don't care that much about the games. I love the games, but I don't care that much about it.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, like, what is like your association with the games?
Played long after they came out, both, and that was it.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, so and we're talking like maybe well over, I don't know, years and years ago, a long time ago.
It's been a good few years for me as well. The first game definitely had more impact on me than the second game, but truth be told, I came to them so late that I had that weird thing where I was like, they're really good games, but they're not the best games. Do you know what I mean? Like that was a problem for me, and I think that was because in the interim, when those games had come out, other games had kind of matched the sort of level of storytelling and action and all of that kind of thing. Still think they're brilliant games. And particularly, I think the first one probably can rightfully be called a masterpiece. But I just don't have the love that others did because I wasn't there. I think if you were there when they came out, I get it. Like I do with many other games.
Yeah, so when I first played them, I was playing them during a period where I was playing like Mass Effect 2, and that for me, I enjoyed the game, but it was no Mass Effect.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, there we go. All right, we're going to wrap this up. That is our review of episode 5 of season 2, The Last of Us. Where you at, people? Are you feeling it as well? Let us know in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed what you've seen, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button. It does help us out. You can find us at gbhbl.com and across all social media platforms. And if you really want to give us a bit of extra support, please consider buying us a cup of coffee over on our coffee page. Thank you.